We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ, HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and now our World Broadcasting Tag Team Champions of the World and a Cruiserweight Champion.
I'm Ethan.
I'm James.
I'm Rob.
And this is episode 191 of Beyond the Ropes, our BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. Of course, I'm your host, Ethan. You can find me on Twitter at Ethan95. Follow James at
JHW Reporter.
And producer Rob Flores at
Rob Flores Media. And don't forget the R2 DMs for Ethan.
He was busy this week. Busy with a wedding. I'm behind, but let me finish.
He did a whole thing. He almost had a whole main event spot.
There we go. Let me wrap this up really quick. At Real BTR Radio is where you can find us on Twitter. Facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes, as well as YouTube. Just search up Beyond the Ropes and you'll find our beautiful faces there. And before we move on into some R-Truth news, I would like to acknowledge Tribal Chief. Look at him. Look at that main event, WrestleMania. This was his sixth main event right there. You know, both titles, undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion. James, would you like to acknowledge your Tribal Chief?
Yeah, actually, I would like to acknowledge somebody. I would like to acknowledge my father. So I just want to first of all say thank you to everyone who reached out. My father did pass away over the weekend on Easter Sunday. It's been a crazy couple days, and you kind of hear about different things and you see things on social media sometimes, and you kind of always wonder and think about like when that will, like, just how crazy of a situation it can be. It's been a little crazy, but thankfully I was able, my father was in the hospital quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. And obviously this show kind of helped quite a bit, kind of keep me focused and distracted a little bit from some of that. But yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was when my dad was able to come home. One of the biggest things for me is every year we always watch WrestleMania because it's around the week of his birthday. And back before WrestleMania was a premium live event, and we had to find other ways to find WrestleMania and other pay-per-views. WrestleMania always made for a good birthday gift. And I mean, regardless, it was just one of many ways we went about celebrating my dad's birthday that week. But with that being said, he was able to come home about a week after his birthday. And one of the first things I did was went ahead and popped in that WrestleMania that was from earlier this month and got to watch some of that with him and keep that tradition going for at least one more year. So thankful for that. And yeah, it was an honor to watch with him. He was a great man. He did turn 80 years old. A week or so before he did pass away, but so many fond memories and whatnot, a lot of them with wrestling. One of the greatest things for me was when my father retired, because when we were younger, me and my brother had just about every wrestling action figure there was. And we used to play with the wrestlers and action figures while we were watching wrestling, and my dad had to go to sleep and wake up early. So there were several times he would tell us, "Can you keep the noise down?" Because we used to bang our wrestlers on the toy wrestling ring and whatnot. But as he retired, when we got older, he had his TV routine and whatnot. And among that was a very busy wrestling schedule that included everything from WWE's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and even when AEW came around and Impact and all that. So he watched everything, and it was just so nice to be able to talk about wrestling with him. And yeah, sometimes I would miss wrestling or I'd be at work, and as soon as he saw me when I came home, he would fill me in on what happened. And I've talked about my dad a bit on here before, especially when it comes to doing our picks and and he kind of had that general fan perspective of just kind of like just going off what he sees, doesn't know any of the backstage politics or anything like that. And so he was always kind of a great resource and measuring stick in a way to kind of see, kind of how effective things were working in terms of wrestling. And I always try to bring that to the show. So, again, my father was a great man. And again, I just appreciate everything about him. And anytime I did a radio show, or he knew it was close to the day of doing a radio show, he's like, "Are you going to do your radio show? How did your radio show go?" So he was very proud of me, and was always aware of this show and what we were doing, and when we were recording and all those things. So I'm gonna miss him, and thank you guys for your support over the last couple of weeks and stuff. And just glad to be able to, have the time that I did with him. And, again, thankful that I was able to share wrestling with him. And he'll be missed. And again, thank you guys. And as always, looking forward to another great show with you boys here today.
Oh, we're great. Always happy to have you, James. So.
Wow, thank you.
All right. Let's get into some Monday Night Raw, shall we? I know you watched.
Yes, I
most
did.
of it. I'm still behind. I'm still getting over that WrestleMania. I guess all that whole week of wrestling. Still trying to catch up over the last couple of weeks.
Sir, you've been trying to catch it for months. Let's be real.
Yeah,
it's a lot of wrestling. There's a lot of wrestling, and it didn't make it any easier with that WrestleMania week. But you're gonna have to catch up to speed at some point, because we're gonna get WrestleMania here in LA, and I gotta
be ready.
You gotta be ready. You gotta get it together.
So, let's talk about some Monday Night Raw a little bit. Show opened up with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. Again, did not see the segment, but I believe you said you saw the first couple of hours.
Yeah, I did see this segment, and my biggest takeaway from this segment was, one, again, what is this? So now the second week in a row we've opened with some sort of Cody Seth segment. I thought they did a really good job, and again, this kind of goes back to what I talked about last week with that episode, in which it was, hey, there was already something there. There's already something between Seth and Cody that you can make of this story, mainly because the history they have with, with Seth being a star pupil, more or less, of Dusty Rhodes being the father of Cody Rhodes and whatnot. But yeah, so I thought this segment was really, again, you have Cody making his debut at WrestleMania, other than whatever little history or similarity they may have had in their journey in wrestling involving Dusty Rhodes. There wasn't much to whatever the story was going to be. So now is when we're getting that story being told and the direction they're going to go in. And they did some of that, and they did quite a bit of that. They went back and forth. They mentioned Dusty Rhodes. I don't remember what town they were in this past week, but I know they mentioned, I want to say it was like Cincinnati or something, but it was something where they had some sort of interaction, or their last interaction was in that exact city. So there were some interesting nuggets there, but at the end of it, it pretty much came down to them kind of building whatever story they're working towards. Obviously, they're going to be at WrestleMania Backlash with the second match in their series of matches, based on what it's looking like here. But Rollins at one point goes on and says, we had Cody, you were kind of a surprise, and I may not have been completely ready for you during our WrestleMania match, but I think it's only fair that I throw a mystery opponent your way later on Raw, and that's exactly what happened. We'll save that for when we get to that part of the card. But that's pretty much what this segment came down to. Seth Rollins kind of trying to get a little bit of payback and turn the tables on Cody and set him up with a mystery opponent for later on in the night.
I mentioned Cody Rhodes. He's been interviewed quite a bit since re-signing with WWE. Rob here in the chat that we have talks about Cody regretting not being AEW World Champion. So it was interesting because he kind of booked himself not to be in the championship contention. But we'll definitely see him for sure. Sure, move up very soon. This Rollins Cody feud is definitely heating up, and looking forward to their match at WrestleMania Backlash.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on. Next on the card, it was Naomi and Sasha Banks teaming up to defend their women's tag team titles against Liv Morgan and
Mm-hmm.
Rhea Ripley. What are your thoughts on this one, James?
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Again, and I feel like I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, things get a little hot. It's still a little hot. There's still some buzz after that WrestleMania. That just everything, the fallout that comes with WrestleMania. And then we start hitting a bit of a slow period, but in a way, it kind of doesn't feel like a slow period, right? We're getting a story with Seth and Cody, and that's a good little feud to have and kind of build going into this, next part of post WrestleMania season and whatnot. And then again, you have Sasha Banks here with Naomi. They're a team. They're still in their early stage and kind of figuring things out. And what were they? They were a team before when Sasha first came aboard with Tamina. Am I
They were
remembering
Team
that
Red.
right?
Yeah, there was a
So
little
they
bit of
do
a
have a little
reunion
history
later.
together. I don't even think they're touching on any of that, right? They're not mentioning any of that at
They
all. I don't think.
mentioned it. They
Did they?
briefly had
Okay.
they mentioned it, but not a lot.
Mm-hmm. So obviously there's some chemistry there. There's some story they can dig into if needed. Anytime Sasha's with anybody as a tag partner, we know where it's going. But with that being said, I think the main focus is here. Obviously, Sasha and Naomi still the tag champions, retain their titles. We saw a little bit of this last week where you have Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. There was a little bit of tension there. And we actually we talked about Joe Hennig or Hennig, was it Hennig or
Yeah,
not
Joe Henning. Yeah,
Joe Hennig was doing, I almost said Higginbottom, but that's Shawn Michaels. He's doing he was booking the match, but that had Liv Morgan go over on Sasha earlier last week. So there's some stuff there, but yeah, I think what this came down to was, you have the frustration of Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, a little miscommunication there. And, we saw some of this in the last time they had a tag team match coming out of WrestleMania. And I thought maybe they're just gonna get a little bit more of an argument. I didn't see it turning heel here for Rhea Ripley, but that's exactly what happened. I thought maybe they were going to wait a little longer, maybe build it up a little bit, let the tension go, because I've seen it a few times where you are almost under the impression a tag team is they go through these kind of things and you think one's going to turn on the other, and then not whether they change course with the booking or whatever, but it ends up not being the case and they get on the same page and have a great little run. But yeah, they kind of turned it pretty quickly. So we'll see where they go from here. Maybe we get a Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan match of some sort, maybe at WrestleMania Backlash. And then I like to think after that, I think, again, maybe we've talked about this last week, but maybe there's something that could be done there with trying to get Rhea Ripley in some sort of faction or under the tutelage of Edge, for example. Not that I think she necessarily needs it, but having an Edge with the Damian Priest and a Rhea Ripley, that's kind of a little bit of an unstoppable stable you're building there. And, I think there's some great storytelling that can be done there. And I think a lot of those gimmicks can kind of mesh well together, and you're not really having to change anybody drastically from what they may already be, but maybe enhancing them a little bit. And I think having a guy like Edge in their corner to do some of that, I think would only do great things for both a Damian Priest and a Rhea Ripley. But yeah, we'll see where that story continues to go. But as of now, we did have Rhea Ripley attacking Liv Morgan after that match. And I think this could still be a good thing for Liv Morgan, right? Where, they were kind of building her up a little bit and kind of getting her involved, and it looked like they were giving her a bit of a push. And maybe this is just one of those things. And when you think about it, Rhea Ripley is like a former women's champion, someone who's been on that WrestleMania stage as a champion, going against Charlotte and having good matches and whatnot. So I think this is another big test for Liv Morgan to see where she's gonna kind of fit in with this women's division and see if she can really hold her own. So I'm excited to see where they actually go with this storyline. I'm not sure where this will leave Naomi and Sasha going forward, but I'm sure they'll find some other girls for them to work with here pretty soon.
Absolutely. Next up, we had Sonya Deville and Bianca Belair having a little confrontation.
Yeah.
I saw this GIF going around
$1.
with the $1 bill.
Mm-hmm.
I assume Bianca Belair had to pay some sort of fine for attacking or wanting to attack Sonya Deville. What's going on here?
Yeah, so just real quick as we get ready to get on to our first commercial break, but yeah, it pretty much came down to Deville, got the best of Belair and kind of set her up to put herself in that number one contender spot to compete for Belair's title. So it looked like Bianca was out for a little bit of revenge on Deville. It may have put her hands on her, which led to it's gonna be kind of interesting to see where they go with Deville, Sonya Deville, and if she's gonna still be an official because she's bragging about it, mentioning that, oh, I'm an official, I can, she can't hit me, yada yada yada. And she's trying to lean on Adam Pearce, saying she can't do that, yada yada. And it's just gonna be kind of interesting to see how they play that out. Now, Adam Pearce was saying, yeah, Belair is gonna get fined and there will be some consequences, but I think we're gonna see. She's gonna be fine. Belair comes, hands him $1, and pretty much calls it a day, and she's off the hook. And Adam Pearce said, "Oh, I was just going by the book." So, it's kind of like we're seeing a little tension between Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce. We'll see how that goes in terms of that authority role that those guys are kind of in, those guys and girls. But Belair and Deville makes for a little bit of a fresh matchup here, I think, and. We'll see where they go. I feel like it's been a little while since I've seen Sonya Deville go in the ring, but in any sort of legit capacity, I know she's been in the ring, but it's kind of like there's always been some sort of circumstances or whatever the case is. But to get her back in the ring, should be interesting. We'll see what she does and how much they're playing up on this authority role, and maybe she's not around for very much longer in an authority role. Maybe she just gets back to wrestling. So we'll see how a lot of that plays out. I'm kind of curious to see where they go with this. I think this is definitely going to be a story in which Belair gets the best of Deville down the road and retains the title, because we expect nothing less from the best women's wrestler in all of WWE right now. But yeah, that's kind of where things are, and Adam Pearce seems to be not giving any favoritism towards Sonya Deville at this point. Why are you smirking over there? Do you have any comments?
I can't wait for Sonya to give Bianca Belair a good match. That's all I can say.
She can give her a great match, but she's not gonna win.
We'll see. When we return,
I'm out. This is nonsense. You're just talking nonsense.
Well, when we return, we'll discuss
If we return,
someone whose contract has expired in WWE.
Mine?
Well, almost there. We'll be right back on episode 191 of Beyond the Ropes. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 191 of Beyond the Ropes. I'm your host, Ethan, joined alongside the analyst, James Williams, and producer, Rob Flores. You can find me on Twitter at EthanMB95. You can follow James on Twitter at
JHW Reporter.
And you can find Rob on Twitter at
Rob Flores Media, and don't forget the R2 DMs for Ethan.
And Facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes. And of course, YouTube, just search up Beyond the Ropes. Don't forget, you can also find us over on the Anchor. You'll listen to us there. Search up Beyond the Ropes on Anchor, and you'll probably hear us. Are we on Spotify, Rob? I don't know. Is that Anchor? Because Anchor goes to different places.
Anchor goes to different ones. We'll have to look into that.
Because for my podcast, it is on Spotify as well. By the way, Ethan Evans Wrestling with Words. Little self-promotion there. Haven't posted anything in a long time, but coming back soon.
But go ahead and support the channel anyways.
Go ahead. It's on Spotify and Anchor. So
and you can follow the James H Williams show on Anchor as well. Yeah, of course I got my own show. Doesn't everybody? No. I do. I haven't posted too much on it.
You have like 10 of them.
I have a few other shows. Yeah. Let me get my plugs in real quick since we're doing it here.
Why not?
I'm already doing a UCLA football show called Something to Bruin. Make sure you follow that out with our good buddy George Medina, who's also a wrestling fan. We talk a little wrestling on there occasionally. He likes to pick my brain on that. And then also I got another show coming up on the Believe Network. Believe in UCLA football, I believe is what it's going to be called. We're still in the works, but that's going to be with former UCLA football player Josh Woods. Yeah, so it's going to be a great time. I'm doing all this audio stuff, and yeah, it's a good time.
I'm not on a network. I need to get on a network, sir. Just gonna start my own network. Why not?
Yeah,
everyone's got their own streaming platform. Everyone's got their own network. I'm just gonna start my own. AEW needs to get on a streaming platform because that Time Warner thing. I don't know how long it's gonna last.
Wait, why? What do you? What?
I don't know. They might be a little behind on the time, but
what are you talking about?
I mean, Ring of Honor might be getting a TV deal. Might be better for them to get on a streaming platform, though. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, wait, but are they going to be like on the TNT TBS thing?
I don't know. Apparently.
When they have to be?
Tony Khan.
I mean, they wouldn't have to be, but
they could get on the same company, whatever they're owned. It doesn't have to be whatever Time Warner owns.
Yeah, within the. I mean, yeah, they could be on Crime TV or whatever, but
someone was saying True TV. I saw
or True TV. Excuse me.
Yeah, I was like,
True TV.
All right, I guess.
But
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. That might be the next big announcement. Another big announcement might be a future signee if they're able to get him, if he wants to go there. We're talking about Kushida, whose contract expired recently. He had signed a 3-year deal. His 3 years came up. He is a former NXT Cruiserweight champion. And apparently, I guess he just wasn't fit for the WWE.
You know, you want to talk about fits and you want to talk about Kushida. I never got it. He did the Back to the Future gimmick, and it didn't do anything for me because I'm like, why is he out there looking like Marty McFly? And I just didn't get it.
You're not the only person to say this. You're not the only person. I've seen on Twitter several people kind of mentioning, well, he just kind of didn't fit in with the style of WWE, and they didn't understand his Back to the Future persona, which was very successful in New Japan. Apparently, he left New Japan for various reasons. One of them, I think, including not being able to turn heel. So they wanted a popular babyface, as well as kind of sticking in the junior heavyweight division, which kind of was in WWE as well as the cruiserweight.
Yeah,
I think they gave him different opponents. He wasn't just stuck there, but he was mostly in the division. And even in a tag team kind of in the later run. So
I think, he's wrestling in jeans and he's just like a little guy. Sorry. But it's true.
Well, boo. James is over
He's
here.
probably taller than me.
Height shaming people.
He's taller than me. Shush. But it's just like, some people can pull it off. Like, and I mean, they're not really wrestling in jeans, but like Stone Cold is wrestling in the jorts. Cena was wrestling in the jorts. I don't know, like,
I actually like the jeans. I like the jeans. I don't know if he needed the Back to the Future gimmick per se, but
the jeans makes me think you're a hardcore wrestler. Like, I didn't like the British
in Japan.
Not here. I didn't like the British Bulldog in jeans. I didn't make any sense to me, and I think that's why I associate it, because like when he was kind of like in the hardcore division after a while, and he was like, I don't know, it just did it. The APA pulled it off, but they wore jeans. But then again, after a while, they still wore tights.
They still wore tights to wrestle. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, if they got into a bar fight or whatever, they still, but you can't wear jeans. Like, you can't wear jeans.
Yeah. So
name someone right now who's wearing jeans. Ezekiel's brother, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, Elias, R.I.P. He was wearing jeans.
R.I.P.
Elias is not dead.
What do you mean?
Ezekiel just said he's away. He's not dead.
There were vignettes last year saying Elias is dead.
Well,
remember the cemetery thing? They had his own tombstone and everything.
But I can confirm that Ezekiel did say that his brother's just away right now and may come back.
Oh,
as I said,
they might be a huge tag team. The tag team division could use something.
Move over, Hardy Boys.
Move over, RK Bro. Move over, not the Usos.
Move over, Usos.
Nope. The
Mm,
Bloodline, they're the ones.
Hey,
Unify
speaking of
those
the,
tag titles. Go ahead.
I was saying, speaking of the Usos, real quick, I think I did see something about that, but was that ever made official? Like, are they going to unify? Is there going to be a match for that?
They're having it at WrestleMania Backlash, RK Bro versus the Usos in a championship unification match. The Bloodline's going for all the gold. Don't be surprised if you see Paul Heyman go after that 24/7 championship.
Jesus. But let's talk about that for a minute. So it's kind of weird because I mean we kind of talked about this before, and even when this did kind of happen, I was kind of like, yeah, right, or they're not going to do it because you have two totally different TV contracts. You want everyone to have their same champions. You want to know who's going to be on those shows. Obviously, you know, you want to have someone like a Roman Reigns on both shows. I'm sure both TV
Well, he's a tribal
properties wouldn't
chief.
have.
Look at him.
Well, sure. I mean, that's great. If he's going to move the needle, move him for both. But it's kind of like, is this the right move to do this unification thing?
Considering the way they treat their tag divisions, I mean, Raw's tag division has been pretty good the last couple of months, heavily because I think Randy Orton's involved, who's a big star. He's
Yeah,
celebrating 20
that's a good
years,
point.
20 years in WWE this week. They're doing the
Mhm.
whole Orton week.
And we talked
Uh,
about him quite a bit last week.
So, I mean, him being involved in the tag division elevates that division. But I mean, on
Sure.
SmackDown, the Usos don't really. There's teams, but they're not really utilizing those teams. And so, is there really need for two tag team titles at the moment?
It's just, I mean, in a way, I don't know. I just feel like there's so much time. There's so much time available that there's no reason why you can't have this many titles in the mix. Only because it's like the thing is when there were so many titles, or when there was so few titles, one tag title or whatever, then what is, I mean, I guess they really don't do it as it is, but I kind of always thought of it like the WWE or WWF at the time SmackDown game for PlayStation, right? Where you had to be in a certain division to go for the title, and you had to beat the people in that division to work your way up into the spot, right? You knew who's in those divisions. It's kind of like the cruiserweight, right? You know who's there. You know who the number one contender is. You know who's hot on the hills and could also make a name for themselves in that title picture. But this is just kind of like, you know, it's, you know who's going for the championship, and then what is everyone else really fighting for or doing? Other than they're just mad at so and so because they interfered with so and so's match. Like, I just feel like there needs to be more to fight for. And again, not that WWE always does a good job of making the titles the main goal for things, but I just feel like when you start stripping down the titles, and then all that means is now I'm going to get the same tag team competing twice a week, right? They're going to have to compete twice a week, and you're not bringing along someone else. Again, they've cut the roster so thin now that maybe this is the best move to make and whatnot. But I don't know. That's just something I'm kind of concerned about, is to see how they go about using the TV time to still try and build others.
I mean, I agree in terms of needing to get other teams, some stories outside of the tag title. Just because, what are we doing? They need to do better at storytelling.
Like, is there
without gold on the line?
right? Is there any sort of tag team feud going on right now? And I might totally be wrong by this. I'm just throwing it out there. Outside of maybe like whatever the New Day, Sheamus, Rich Holland stuff is there any sort of tag team feud that's not based around the titles?
No, you've got Los Lotharios, I think, doing something with Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah.
They were competing for the Intercontinental Championship before WrestleMania. Then you've got, I mean, Viking Raiders aren't doing anything. Alpha Academy was in that tag feud with the Street Profits and RK Bro up until WrestleMania. I know Chad Gable was involved in the Ezekiel Kevin Owens thing, which we can discuss in a bit. But no, there really isn't anything for the.
That's what I'm saying. So they're already doing a poor job of it. So why? I mean, I just feel like it could backfire. I mean, again, they've done it before and they haven't been afraid to switch back to it if need be. So I'm not completely ruling it out as a bad idea.
I just think the brand split's probably going to be done very soon.
And that's fine. Again, I think the roster's been so thin now, is cut so thin now that they can have all these people on different shows. But it's just like make it entertaining. Like go to PG-13. Like there just needs to be something that's gonna make me want. Like the thing is we in the Attitude Era we wanted to see the same characters every week.
Hmm.
I wanted to see what Stone Cold was going to do on Monday and on Thursday. I wanted to see what Undertaker with Triple H with The Rock were doing on Monday and on Thursday. Like that's what was happening. That's how you told the story. And they use the most of those, having those guys on there twice a week to build those guys and move them along faster, right? You're telling everyone's story at a faster pace because you have them on two different shows. Now, again, how much of that are we going to do? I don't know going forward. I just feel like the model for the industry now is so different than what it was that either way, anything they do could work,
Hmm.
but it doesn't always work
No,
because for one reason or another. So we'll see.
we'll see. Indeed. Let's go move on to the next segment here. Let's talk about Veer coming all
Good old
over
Veer.
Raw once again. Just came all
Jesus.
over the place. He's here. They sent Veer. He's here. He came. He gone.
Now,
He went. He came back.
now they're throwing a last name on him, and I'm not catching it.
Oh, Veer Mahan.
But why are we throwing last names on him so people could start calling him that, and then in 2 weeks they could take it off and say he's just Veer, pal? Like it's throwing me off.
He's always been Veer Mahan since they brought him in.
I thought he was just always Veer. I only knew him as Veer.
So I think the original vignettes, it was just Veer, and then sometime in between those 7 or 8 months that they were doing with these vignettes, they added Mahan.
But who's pulling the rib on who? Because I mean, once Vince finds out he has the last name, he's going to take it off.
I'm sure Vince knows Veer has the last name. I would hope. He's on TV, and Vince is there. I would hope.
I guess. I'm just saying, it's like what you can't have more than 1 or 2 guys with the last name because you take it off of a guy like Austin Theory.
Well, he lost his first name.
Well, he lost his first name, but it's just like if just give everybody one name.
Oh dear, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But
I'm just poking holes. I'm just trying to figure it out.
I know. You got to talk to Vince on that. I don't know.
I will. I'm gonna call him right after the show.
Mm-hmm. Send him a text for me.
Okay. Because because he's pretty hip. Remember we talked about before? He has an iPhone. He takes selfies with the.
He takes selfies with the new United States champion. Let's talk about.
Let's talk about it.
Austin Theory, or formerly Austin Theory.
Mm-hmm.
Theory,
now just Theory, yeah.
Which is weird considering they're trying to make him the next quote unquote John Cena.
Who's saying that?
Huh?
Who's saying that?
Everyone's saying that.
I mean, I would say Drew McIntyre. No, I know. I would say Drew McIntyre because all this Chosen One nonsense.
He was already the Chosen. He was already been champion. he already got there.
Well, now, yeah, I'm now. But when Drew first debuted,
sure,
that's where I'm thinking this is going.
Yeah, you think Austin Theory is now the Chosen One.
Yeah, but what is this Cena stuff?
I'm just saying they're trying to make him into the Cena type babyface eventually.
Oh, you think he's gonna be a babyface?
Well, eventually. Not right now.
I mean, I guess I could see that. I mean,
they're trying to make him the face, the next face, basically.
Yeah, and
they're
that's
going
fine.
the Drew McIntyre route. Just hopefully now it's 3MB stuff.
Right, with none of the absence,
none of the nonsense.
In the middle. Yeah. Like I'm not against it. I think I just think if you're gonna, he's getting into Roman Reigns territory, and we're getting ready to get into the next commercial break. So I feel like we're gonna talk about some of this on the other side of the break, but he's getting into some Roman Reigns territory here, right? And some Roman Reigns Cena territory to where Vince is out there. He's celebrating with him.
Well, let's talk about what he did. He faced Finn Balor for the United States Championship, as expected. As I mentioned last week, he defeated Finn Balor. Poor Finn Balor. I mean, he seems to be being a decent sport about it on social media. But, I mean, he lost to Austin Theory again. This time losing the title, which it is what it is. Austin Theory had the loser locker room come out and lift him up.
Yeah. It was like all the
heels, which is weird. Yeah. And then you had Vince come out, and then they took a selfie at the very end.
Well, and so that's just it, right? So first of all, I did think, Austin Theory is totally the babyface, and I remember, wait, he's in there with Finn Balor. Like there's no way Theory's like gonna come out of this baby face, right? But again, when he goes and walks towards the stage with the title around his shoulder, then you see him with Vince of all people. Or not well, but I mean we've seen that before, but you have Vince come out. I feel like one that kind of adds a little something to the prestige of the United States title more than anything. I think that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
definitely.
Because you have Vince in a storyline with the United States title, you're building that title up whether you really know it or not. I feel you're adding a little relevancy to it. So I think that's kind of cool in a way. But if you're gonna have Vince all the way over on Austin Theory the way that he is, or Theory, excuse me, I feel like he's just gonna start getting booed because he's gonna get pushed down people's throats. It feels
He is a heel.
for now.
If they're not careful, they'll go the Roman route, and then
Yeah, he's gonna get
Yeah.
booed.
yeah. So I mean, let's see. I don't think he did win clean, relatively clean win apparently. Rob is asking. It was a relatively clean win. So Theory is your new United States champion. We can talk more about it after the break. When we return, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Ezekiel. We'll talk about more stuff right here on episode 191 of Beyond the Ropes. BR 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 191 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. I'm your host, Ethan, joined alongside the analyst, James Williams, and producer, Rob Flores. You can find us over on the YouTube. Just search up Beyond the Ropes, and you'll see our beautiful faces there, as well as facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes, and on Twitter at RealBTR Radio. We were talking about Monday Night Raw. We're talking about everything, the up-and-comers that are coming all over Raw, including Veer. You want to talk about the squash match with Veer?
Yeah, let's just go back to Veer real quick because we were talking about that, but we just got so excited about what the future holds for Theory there. But yeah, going back to Veer real quick and what they had with him on Monday Night Raw, when they're finally getting him on Raw and getting him in person in the ring after what felt like months of vignettes. But he comes out last week and then he's did everything but take the air out of Dominic Mysterio, putting him on a stretcher and sending him to the back.
R.I.P. Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, he's sitting there strangling the boy. So anyways, so this week they put him in the ring with a jobber. And they gave, they haven't had, you don't see a whole lot of jobber matches anymore. So it's kind of neat to see that. And at least maybe they're trying to do a slow build here with Veer. And it's just kind of interesting. It looked like a jobber got a little bit of offense in. They're playing up the hometown kid and whatnot. But in a way, at the end of the day, Veer got the best of him in the same way as Dominic Mysterio got put in a submission, got let go after the match was over, and got put right back in it like once or twice more after. And they're kind of building up Veer here a little bit. But I just kind of thought it was interesting. I thought maybe we'd see Dominic Mysterio or Rey Mysterio kind of get involved and come in to save the jobber, but that wasn't the case. So
Rey's disappeared.
Yeah, apparently, but no, Veer's looking pretty strong. They're building him up strong. We'll see where they go with him for the time being. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting to see how they're booking Veer. And again, we don't see a whole lot of jobber matches. So to see when I was like, oh wait, who's he in the ring with? And I was like, oh, that's a jobber. I found it kind of interesting, but it also just kind of fun because anytime there's a jobber in the ring, you try to look and remember them because they might be a world champion someday. You just never know. But yeah, good stuff. And we'll see if they can continue to build Veer the right way.
We'll see. We'll see how many times Veer comes over the next several weeks, several months on Monday Night Raw. Let's talk about the double wedding of the century.
Commitment ceremony was my understanding.
Oh, was it a commitment story? I don't know. I heard double wedding. It consisted of the 24/7 division of Akira Tozawa and Tamina, and of course Dana Brooke, 24/7 champion, and Reggie, as well as R-Truth being the
man in the middle there, the ordained minister.
He was ordained. So
Mm-hmm.
you saw this, right?
So
How'd this
yeah,
go?
so I saw I saw some of it. It was pretty interesting to see where they were going with some of this. So yeah, so you had Tamina and Tozawa were been kissing and necking like for months now, or for weeks at least. And then you have the whole thing with Reggie and Dana Brooke. So you have them both out there, both pairs out there. It was kind of interesting because they had Sasha, Naomi, and some other people as like some background, just people to fill the ring. And it was just kind of interesting. Like, what do they do to get Sasha and Naomi into that? Did they just ask them or what?
Well, no, they were
Uh,
Team Bad members.
okay, so
With
yeah,
Tamina, there was
again,
history.
when we talked about that a little bit, so maybe they're there to support their girl. That's cool. I can respect that if that's the case. But I guess I was kind of just wondering why they were out there. But maybe that makes some sense now that you put it that way.
They did
But
take a
yeah,
photo
so
after mentioning Team Bad and stuff. So
gotcha. Okay, so they had. So pretty much what it came down to was you have R-Truth doing his thing out there. And then I guess they go to say, do you take so-and-so to be your partner or whatever the case is? And Tamina decides to switch. She pulls Reggie to her and Tozawa towards Dana Brooke. And then you think it's a swerve. Maybe she wants Reggie now for some reason. And then they go for that for a minute.
what?
And then
Wow.
and then they switch. Then they switched to Zawa and Reggie, I think, back. And then they did. And then they did Tamina going over with Dana Brooke. And then they look like they're gonna hold hands or do some sort of thing. And people kind of started booing some of this stuff, but it was just kind of interesting. I'm like, I don't know where they're going with this. And I thought they were gonna go very attitude era with this segment. And I thought like things were going to start happening, but things get back in order, and Tamina does go back with Tozawa, and Reggie goes back over with Dana Brooke. So they're pretty much playing musical chairs there for a little bit, and then Reggie capitalizes and goes to make a pin on Dana Brooke, who was the reigning champion going into this whole ceremony. Reggie goes ahead and wins the 24/7 title, celebrates for a minute, and then all of a sudden you have Tamina just get a big boot right in the face of Reggie, nearly knocking his face off. And you have Reggie eating the pin there and losing the title in quick fashion. Tamina is now your new champion. Tozawa sitting there fairly kind of shocked at everything that's going on. While Tamina is celebrating, Tozawa, because Tamina was wearing this big wedding dress, more or less, Tozawa crawls under the long wedding dress and does a schoolboy in some way on Tamina, rolls her up and gets the 1, 2, 3. And now you have Tozawa as your new 24/7 champion. This goes on. He celebrates a little bit, and then you have Dana Brooke kind of cleaning things up and getting the 1, 2, 3, retaining the title. And I think the segment ends somewhere along those lines where everyone's just kind of all over the place. I thought it was a good segment, maybe for what it was, a fun segment. You had a lot of different title defenses and whatnot. I think for me, it was just kind of interesting. I can't remember the last time and I might totally be wrong about this or off base with it, but I can't remember too many times where you had the 24/7 title in some sort of in-ring segment, right? It's usually out and about somewhere or wherever in the hotel or something. So yeah, this was just kind of neat. It was just kind of neat from that regard to kind of see it get a little bit of attention, a little spotlight on it, and curious where they go from here. But at the same time, yeah, I think it was a good segment overall. There have been worse segments in history, and
This
yeah,
is not one of them.
no, this was not one of them. I mean, it wasn't the greatest segment ever, but considering the mess that is a 24/7 title, I thought it was all okay.
That's good to hear. Let's talk about another interesting segment. Let's talk about the lie detector segment between Kevin Owens and Ezekiel, who is the younger brother of one Elias, who is, I guess, still alive, according to you.
You said you did, but he's not.
Well, I don't know. The vignettes last year said he was dead, but apparently not. What happened in this segment here?
Yeah, so there was a lot of build up to it, and I think Ezekiel was actually on Pat McAfee that Monday.
Oh,
Yeah, it had to have
interesting.
been.
You
Had to
sent me
have
the
been
video. I
Monday.
didn't get a chance to watch it, but
Yeah, so Ezekiel was on Pat McAfee's show, and that's why I was saying, like, they were asking him about, oh, you're doing a lie detector test against or with Kevin Owens on Kevin Owens' show, and what are your thoughts on this? Yada yada, and and he was just saying like, oh yeah, like, I'm gonna prove to everybody that I am Elias's brother, and and I think they kind of asked like what does Elias think of this, or what does he think about you being on the in wrestling or something, and he's like, oh, yada yada, he's doing fine. He may come back around at some point, but right now he's doing something, as if he was just busy. Maybe he's on,
he's
you
making
know
music again.
he's a drifter. He's just drifting around. He's doing his
Yeah.
thing. So while Elias is drifting, Ezekiel has kind of come in to start his wrestling career. And yeah, so they're in the ring. They sit down for the lie detector test. For whatever reason, they got Gable doing the or Chad Gable doing the
Doing the lie
um,
detector.
running the lie detector, and because Kevin Owens, like, yeah, to be a mutual or kind of a
Did he have
um,
experience writing that? Like,
no, he was just a man in the middle. I'm not sure how exactly he got chosen. I think honestly what it is that it's just, I think what it was is WWE just trying to get Chad Gable in a segment and making the
got it.
most out of it. You know what I mean? Just because they like what he's doing and whatnot. So they get him on TV, and I thought that's good on them. Um, but it was kind of weird because they said, oh, they're gonna have a match after um Chad Gable and Ezekiel were supposed to have a match after, and I don't remember the match actually happening because the lie detector got more turned towards Ezekiel proving, based on the questions and despite the disbelief by Kevin Owens, but uh, Ezekiel did pass the test and did prove he was his own man and that he is the brother of Elias. And yeah, so they are apparently two different people.
Of course they are.
But yeah, of course. I mean, never doubted it. But anyways, I think it'll be interesting where they go from here. I don't think Chad Gable the long-term option. Actually, during this segment, um, we you kind of get some of Chad Gable speaking on the whole Gable Stevenson thing and calling him a cheat, and he's messing with the wrong guy. So it looks like they're slow building that up a little bit. I think I mentioned on here before when Gable Stevenson had retired or put his boots down on the wrestling mat to end his college career, that I believe I heard somewhere he still had about a month or so left of school. So maybe there's a little bit of time before they get into whatever program they're going to get. But maybe this is a little bit of a slow build. And I think, again, I think a first great kind of, story would be Gable versus Gable, the two Olympians. There's something that a story you can tell there. And I think that was just them dropping a little nugget onto that. And, I think it's going to be a fun little rivalry or story when we get to that. But yeah, you kind of have Kevin Owens, and this is not the last time we see Kevin Owens either. So some of this stuff was kind of all over the place, and you're seeing a lot of people getting used in more than one kind of segment or story, right? So again, I think that's kind of cool if you're gonna have a shorter roster and stuff, have some of the different angles intertwine a little bit and help tell stories that way. So again, it was great. It was great stuff. I think they kind of got all that out of the way with Ezekiel and Elias and cleared the air there. Now we'll just see what Kevin Owens does from here long term. But again, this wasn't the last we saw of him for the night.
Well, let's just get right into it because there's a few other things I want to get into. Kevin Owens was the surprise opponent, handpicked by his best friend Seth freaking Rollins, who we're going to talk about the revolutionary, the visionary himself. Seth freaking Rollins chose Kevin Owens as Cody Rhodes' opponent. What did you say?
I said he's decent. Seth, he's cool. He's whatever.
Anyways, Cody Rhodes did win this match, correct? I believe it was by countout. He got Kevin Owens and Seth got into a little heated discussion potentially, or what was going on here? Did you see this match?
I got some of it. I think it ended in a disqualification because.
Let me see here. I'll pull up the notes here.
Yeah, you get the recap on that. I know how it kind of finishes there a little bit. But the thing I found interesting when I saw these two get into the ring, both Cody and Kevin Owens was they had a dark match
Yeah,
on
last
that
week.
Raw, yeah, last week. And saw them kind of working, and they had kind of been working together, and so they had it kind of made sense when you hear about a dark match like that. They kind of already been working a little bit, and they have their match on TV. And I believe during that dark match, the Rock's mother gets involved and is holding Kevin Owens for Cody, and Cody gets some shots in with the assist of Mama Rock
There you
for
go.
for for that dark match. So yeah,
I'm
so you have the
getting
recap
involved.
there.
Basically, yeah, it was a count out as Rollins was yelling at KO, and
That's
KO
right.
said to deal with some problems.
KO had enough, yeah.
Ultimately, it was Rollins that knocked Cody Rhodes from the middle turnbuckle to the floor. That kind of ended the show there. So, I mean, they're continuing this feud, obviously, into WrestleMania Backlash. Rhodes versus Rollins 2 should be a good one. I do want to talk about a potential debut coming very soon. It
To
was
what show?
Friday Night SmackDown. This was before
Okay.
last week's Friday Night SmackDown. A clip has since been released unofficially.
Okay.
Let's say it with me, James. L.A.
L.A.
Knight
Knight. What did I
is a
miss?
manager, and he is managing Mace. James has left chat. He's walking out. Yeah,
What?
that was my thoughts originally. No, I
What
will
happened?
say I will. LA Knight came out in a nice suit, cut a great promo. Not surprisingly, because
Oh,
it's
I'm
an
sure.
LA Knight promo.
Yeah, of course.
And he introduced his newest client from Night Management or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Mace. He kept calling him Base, so I don't know if he's going by Face now. But Mace is dressed very nice. It's not his Retribution gimmick.
Okay.
He's still called Mace, and he still has the Retribution kind of thing on his
Yeah.
Titantron. But he came out
Okay.
dressed in like nice street clothes, wearing
And this is
sunglasses,
all like
coming out like a model
dark,
walk.
dark
This was all dark
match.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Before
Okay.
the show, so hasn't made TV yet. But yes, yeah, he came out looking kind of a re-debut gimmick. So
And they're doing the dark matching because they're just trying to get a feel for the crowd's reaction.
yeah, I think
and
so.
what's
And
going on.
it looks he mentioned this is one of his newest clients, potentially more clients on the way. So Knight could be leading or at least managing some sort of faction here. I don't know.
I don't know.
He's
How to
great
feel
on the
about it.
mic. He's great on the mic. He's good in the ring. He should be his own
Yeah.
person, but I mean,
He's not getting any younger.
he's not. So
why not get the most out of him as a wrestler now and then do this?
maybe this is a stepping stone to where he could be in the ring.
I guess.
Yeah. So I don't know. We got NXT. Spring break
Okay.
is happening.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Who are the tag champions again?
Pretty deadly. Former NXT UK Tag Team Champions.
Okay.
They are the new NXT champions.
And how do they win these titles again? Because I remember old boy got fired.
The titles were vacated. They won a triple threat, I believe, last week.
Okay, that's what it was.
So
Okay.
they successfully defended them earlier today as we were recording. So that looks like they're having a good solid run. Or start. I mean, they just debuted like 2 weeks ago. So,
but they're legit. They're legit. They're like
they're a good team.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen too much of them, but the brief stuff I've seen on NXT UK, they're pretty good.
I just saw them on a commercial, and I'm just like, for NXT,
they know their
gimmicks.
They know their gimmick. They know that,
Okay.
They know what they're doing. So I mean, it should be good. Braun Breaker will defend his NXT championship against Joe Gacy at Spring Breakin', which is I guess a new NXT not premium live event, but it's going to be a show. And so it looks like Solo Sikoa as well as Carmelo Hayes will challenge in a triple threat match against your guy Cameron Grimes for the North American Championship.
North American Championship, yeah.
That'll also happen on spring breaking, which is happening Tuesday, May 3rd. So that's kind of our little NXT update. We'll talk about more about that next week. But until next time, this episode of Beyond the Ropes has been absolutely too sweet.
Too sweet, boys.